Hello, welcome to Conversations with the Empress. I am the Empress, and as you could tell by my constrictive attire, it's Freaky Friday, y'all. The day we've all been waiting for. At least I have. And you know I love a Freaky Friday. First things first, please go hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons below. They all help my channel to grow. So do your girl a favor. Hit that like button right about now. Thank you. So the fit tonight was to show off some of the little cute little things that might be cues to people that I'm kinky in the lifestyle, possibly owned, maybe not. I added these in because it falls in line with the topic tonight. People always ask, how can you tell when you're out in public who's in a lifestyle and who isn't? Because you don't normally just walk up to somebody and ask them, oh, are you a submissive? Oh, are you a dom? Or are you a slave? Or whatever. It's just not something that you normally do. And for the most part, kinky people normally get together, munches, clubs, other kinky events, parties, and things like that. And that's normally how you meet people. But there are ways for you to tell if people are in a lifestyle while you're out and about in the regular world. I know when I first got in, that was something that I was very curious about. Like, how can you tell if people are or if they're not? While some people don't exhibit any signs of being in a lifestyle while they're out in public, a lot of people do. Especially if they are in a dom-sub dynamic, master-slave dynamic, there are little things that they do in public to maintain their power exchange without it being noticeable to the novice or vanilla person. One of the things is a piece of jewelry. It could be something like this, a bracelet. I remember when I was an owned submissive, I would have to wear what they call slave bells. It's a little anklet or a bracelet of bells that jingle whenever you're walking around. It's a way for your dominant to know that you're around and moving around in shared space. It's also a way for them to hear you when you're out and about. But nobody would normally know that that's a sign of being an own submissive or in a kinky dynamic. These are, as you hear them, these are slave bells. Simply worn around the wrists or the ankle. Mine were the ankle. I prefer the ankle. But not very loud. Just enough and at a certain pitch that you can tell that it's your slave or your submissive walking around. So this is one way you could tell if someone is an own submissive while they're out. They'll have a certain type of jewelry on them. I've seen other submissives and slaves with these belts. Also, something like this, this is a little bracelet, but it has handcuffs. It's kinky. It looks like regular jewelry, but it could definitely signify being owned or being in a kinky type of dynamic with someone. That's one way you can tell. Also, a collar. Obviously, most people are not going to walk around wearing this bold of a collar, unless you're me, because I'm just bold like that. I know others that bold, that wear even more elaborate collars. But a collar is definitely a sign of someone being in a kinky dynamic or an own submissive. They come in a variety of different types. This is just a regular dog collar that I bought from a pet store. But they also have more elaborate ones with jewels. They also have plain, simple ones that are just like a stainless steel ring. And it closes with a lock and key. These people get away with collars people get away with a lot more nowadays days because the girls wear chokers and stuff like that. So someone could be wearing a choker and you think it's just being fashionable, but it could be that they're actually in a dynamic, a kinky relationship or a dynamic. So this is another sign of somebody being owned. Also, another way you could tell is tattoos. I don't have any submissive tattoos. However, you might see someone with a tattoo with a lock and key, or, maybe matching tattoos that look a little symbolic. That's another way to tell. You'd have to really be paying attention and looking close to notice that. But definitely that is something that you might see, that something that bonds those two people together as far as the tattoo is concerned. Another way you could tell if people are kinky when they're out could be simple things like if you see a couple come into a restaurant and the female waits to sit down until her boyfriend sits down, or when the food comes out she waits to eat until he starts eating, or he'll give a simple head nod or something like that to give her a cue that she can eat. Like, it's little simple things that even if they were to go out to a dinner party with their friends, you wouldn't really be able to tell unless you were super paying attention, or if you're in the lifestyle yourself. There are also nonverbal commands that a submissive could learn, and that could be a way for you to be able to tell too. If you see someone hold up a finger and then that person does something, or a certain nod or something like that. These are little things, little cues to let you in on the fact that somebody is in a kinky relationship. I remember when I was in a submissive, a dom submissive dynamic, I had nonverbal commands. I think 1 was like to stand, 2 was to sit, 3 was to kneel, 4 was to be on all fours, 5 was to present myself. Like, it was lots of different nonverbal ones. And the point of that is, if you're out in a crowded place and you have to communicate with your submissive or your slave and they can't hear you, they can look at you and get a visual cue, or a clicker. You train a dog with a clicker. Sometimes they'll have a clicker. Little things that you might not notice. But then you also have people who are blatantly out in the lifestyle who will walk around with their leash and collar on, will do submissive things out in public and not care, like kneeling, holding an umbrella for their dominant while they're walking. It might look odd at first. If it's less odd probably if you see a male doing these submissive things, like holding an umbrella for a woman or things like that. When I was in the lifestyle heavy and I was a own submissive, I loved being out in public and showing my submission, and for people to know that I was in submission. I would wear a collar. I also had slave bells. I also had a bracelet that symbolized me being an own submissive. For me, when I'm out, now that I've been in a lifestyle so long, it's very easy for me to see who is and who isn't. I remember this one time I had went to a nude beach and there was a woman there and she was with a guy, and the guy was like putting sunblock or suntan oil on her, but in a way that was kind of like in a servitude type of way, and she was just sitting there so nonchalantly, like she owned him, and he was getting a total erection while he was doing it. So it's not normal to go to the nude beach and somebody get an erection, but in that situation I could see how that could be her submissive. And then as the day went on, eventually she had put a leash and a collar on him, so I was right. I could tell. Like, I can pick up on certain things. Also, walking, there might be a certain way that doms and submissive walk with one another. if you see them having to be in contact, physical contact with one another the entire time they're out, in the same line of sight, never leaving line of sight, that's another way that you can tell. Asking for permission to do things instead of just getting up and doing them. Going back to like when you're out to dinner, I remember I had the protocol of when we go out to eat, you know, I can't eat until he starts eating or he gives me a nod or permission to start eating. And you guys know how much I love to eat. This was a rule that I would break all the time. I'll break all the time because the food would come out and I would be so hungry and I would just totally forget. So I used to get in trouble for that all the time. Just a memory. Most of the time in dynamics, a dominant will name their submissive or their slave. So maybe you might hear them call them by a weird name. Like when I had my slave, I called him little boy, but he was much older than me. much older than me, and he obviously was not a little boy. So when we would be out and I would say, little boy, get over here and do such and such, or little boy, come here, whatever. If you were really paying attention, you could tell that he was my slave. Like you could tell just certain things that I would say, certain things that I would do, make him walk behind me, pull out my chair, you know, if my shoe was untied, kneel down and tie my shoe. The issue is like, I feel that it's very blatant to see who's in the lifestyle and who isn't if you really pay attention. But most people don't pay attention unless you're really looking for it. Like, I mean, that's how I learned, because when I first got in, I was wanted to know who else is in this, who else is doing this, who else. It's very interesting. People get really creative with ways of maintaining that power exchange, even when in vanilla settings. But you'll be surprised. Start paying attention while you're out, guys, at dinner and different events and stuff. You will be able to tell who is who and what is what and who is with the shits. Okay. A lot more people with the shits than what y'all think. Different strokes for different folks. Some people take, you know, they're hiding their lifestyle to the extreme, and some people are loud and proud about it. It depends. Some people have to be discreet and some people don't. But, you know, you never know. Just goes to show you never know. But pay attention next time you go out. You might see some kinky people and be surprised, because everybody thinks kinky people are these weird people and they're walking around, you know, all the time on leash and collar and wild and free, but that's not necessarily so. There's a lot of people out here in the lifestyle that are discreet, and there's lots of discreet signs of knowing. Just letting you know. Look at the person next to you. They might be in it. Hey you guys, thanks for watching. My contact information is below. Please go like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're feeling generous, throw me a Cash App. And until we meet again, smooches.